Right, welcome to NZ Mopar at Kustoms. So, we found some new roll lock, wrap lock, whatever you want to call these discs. And I've used the first one. I've got some footage which I'll slot in. I just finished using it before. So I just had some wounds in here that I hadn't cleaned up on the end of this piece. I'll show you. And to say the least, I'm a bit disappointed with them. So I had some welds down here, and just knocked it off and cleaned it up with one of those discs. And when I first got these in and I was having a quick look at them, I thought, yeah, these are good and strong and stiff, nice and thick. You know, like the disc should take a bit of abuse. You know what I mean? Like it's not going to fly to pieces. Maybe if it get hooked on something, it might tear, but you know what I mean? Like it's not going to destroy itself or going over an edge or something like that. I've been using these ones. These are from Euromark or Mac, whatever they call themselves. That is the place I've been getting them from in New Zealand. And I think they make their own stuff. I've been using these for a while, got them in 2-inch as well. But I'd run out of 3-inch 40s, which is the ones I seem to use the most. I got a few 80 grits and whatever in the smaller diameters, but I don't think I'll ever buy a 2-inch one ever again after I bought the 3s. I just keep using 3s. Well, there's an old one that I used for, you know, probably a couple of days, you know, before I tore it to pieces eventually. But this is the one I used to do just grind the edge off, grind the welds off. And the biggest issue I found, if you really look here, is it's just destroyed the grit within about 2 or 3 minutes, if that, of grinding. And because this has got such a hard backing, it won't wear away to keep using the better. Like that one, there was a brand new one there the other day, and I've ground back. I did use a hard disc for the worst of it, if you know what I mean. But I've ground back all this in here on 2 of these with that one. So yeah, I was quite excited, but now I'm disappointed. I have to do some research and figure out where these come from, but this is the writing that's on the back, if you can read that. You might better read that. But it says it's CDFR 75, and that's Vic 2 grain. Vic 2 grain is how I'd pronounce that. Cool is, you know, it's got dash cool, and then 36, which is 36 grit. These are 40, and these aren't as thick. They're a bit more soft, but they're very strong. Like, these are strong, but these are too strong, I think. Possibly their issue, or they're just the grits not, I don't know, not up to the task. It just wore off. Like you can see that is just gone on the edge. Like there's nothing left within a couple of minutes. And to get back into with the hard surfaces, I'd have to trim that off every 2 or 3 minutes, which was just absolute pain in the ass. Like I got 30 of them. You know, I just go into my local store and just buy. They obviously got some different brands in, but yeah, I'm going to tell them I don't like them. Anyway, we'll carry on, and yeah, I'll give you an update on how I get on. Right, so I got one lot of holes drilled in here, and then I just realised I didn't fucking allow for this piece. So all my holes are freaking, I don't know, about an inch off. So this is the hole for the pedal. I think it might be for the starter, I think. So yeah, if I put that against here, because I'd marked it to cut it off too, which is not too short. Thank Christ I didn't cut it off. But yeah, so now all the holes are freaking all fucked up. So I'm gonna have to at least it weld that one up anyway. I'll probably get away with the rest. Like these aren't critical, if you know what I mean. Like they're just, you know, it's down at the toe board. So yeah, it's between two pieces of timber. So it's not as though it's going on anything that's permanent. What was the other piece that I did the other day that has to be right because it's going up against steel. So yeah, I can probably weld this up and then shift it along. Pain in the ass, but yeah, I'll have to do that. Yeah, I don't know why I missed that, because I turned it around to frickin' mark these holes out, and I was like, oh, hold on a minute, something's right there. So I'll do that, I'll spin it around and I'll weld that up. And, so I put the weld away because I kind of didn't need it for this. But we'll buzz it up, grind it off, and then we'll move it along frickin', I don't know, an inch or so. And do that. But yeah. So we'll do that and then we'll come back. It's sort of so frickin' cold, I just can't be bothered frickin' videoing anything. I run out of diesel and I meant to get more earlier on and I forgot. So I took those discs back. I wasn't very happy with them. I was just like, I got to frickin' every minute or two or three or whatever, I've got to frickin' cut the edge off. What's the point? Yeah, they may as well have them back. They can see I've used one, tried it, and it's just not what it needs to be. You know, I've got a few of these smaller ones here that I can use for a bit until I can get something else, and hopefully I get some more 3s. Like I bought these 2-inch thinking I'd use them all, because that's what I used to use originally. I didn't realise they made 3-inch ones. Like you can see, here's all my some of the ends of all the old ones I've got. But yeah, I won't get 2-inch again after I've used all these up. I won't get any 2-inch. I'll just get a mixture of different grits in the 3s. I'll get some 80s, and I might even get some finer ones at some point too. I'll probably get some 120s or something like that, and then I might even get some of the I'm making a look, yeah, sort of like that heavy Scotch-Brite pads, discs, not like that, more like a Scotch-Brite pad but stronger. You know what I mean? I think. Let's go find one of my Scotch-Brites pads. I used to have a really worn out Scotch-Brite disc, like one of these. Like that stuff down there. Have I got a piece that's floating around here? Yeah. Like this, but solid, you know, more, obviously stronger than that. But that sort of thing, if you know what I mean. Good for polishing up and cleaning up. If you wanted to clean up a bit of, you know, metal for chroming or something like that, it'd be perfect for that sort of thing. They sort of, polishing up stainless or anything like that, they're quite good for that sort of thing. But I wouldn't mind getting a few of those at some point. But anyway, we'll full of hole welded up and shift it along. Yeah, I'm glad I caught that before I cut the end off. That would have been a bit of a cock up, and worst comes to worst, I could have cut a piece off and put it on the other end, which I could do. I could do that. Might be just easy to fold the hole up though. I can soon do that. But yeah, we'll carry on and we'll come to you back a bit later on. Right, now that I've successfully filled that hole, we'll move it over to here. So I just laid, what do I do with that bloody thing? There. So I marked out where that hole roughly should be, here. Laid all that on there, marked my 3 holes that I need. So we'll drill this one, double check those other 2, and then we'll drill those. And we should be good. I don't think it'll matter if it's not 100% where it was. I don't think it'll matter too much. We'll work that out later on if I happen to screw it up. Happens to be screwed up, and then we'll just have to, we'll lay these ones out in the right place. once I got this hole drilled, we'll look at those islands again, and I'll move this line over, and yeah, and we'll go from there.
Alrighty, so I've got a hold of a manual here for this thing, or a workshop manual. It only goes back to page 7, so I don't have the contents glossary part of it, I don't think. The owner had this. He's got 2 copies apparently. But yeah, it's, again, it still doesn't show me what I want to see in here. I don't think. I haven't come across any pictures. There are plenty of pictures of the outside and a few other things. Fucking gives me everything. Like if I ever needed to get into the motor side of it or whatever, or if I ever happen to want to rebuild a GM engine, that's the same as what's in this truck or duck, or whatever you want to call it. For everything I want to know here, I've actually taken some pictures of using my phone to scan some of the stuff and document. So I've got some of it, if you know what I mean. I haven't done all of it because there's like 400 odd plus pages here. Yeah, 450, 60, whatever pages here. So obviously I'm not going to go through and do them all, as much as that would be nice, but so it gives you, it pretty much gives us everything, but it still doesn't give me any pictures of where I want to look. And I've put a few messages on some of the videos upon the stuff that people have had of the ducks, and some of the people that have come across that. It looks like they might have done some work on them with some of the videos. I still need to hunt through more. But you think I can find photos of that area that I want? Nah. Like somebody the other day gave me a listing for a Facebook page, and there hasn't been anything put on it since 2015, and I messaged the group. I think it was just mainly one guy. Yeah, and I think he actually sold his ducks that he had at some point not long after 2015 or 16 or something like that. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, I got no messages back from him, and for all the people that mysteriously have dropped dead in the last 3 years. I don't need to explain why, but I know a few. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. Who knows if the guy's still alive or not. But yeah, it gives you frickin', it's absolutely everything. Like, there's every little piece of mechanical information in here. Like, it gives you all the part numbers and everything for everything. Like, it's even got a good picture of in here like this. But again, it doesn't give me what I want to look at. So this is like below this is the whole part of it, but it doesn't show any of the, like the driver's compartment pictures. I have had a decent look through it, like a flick through. I haven't looked at absolutely every page. At some point I will. I'll take this home tonight and have a good study of it. But yeah, there's absolutely everything in here that you would want to know, which is really handy. But yeah, it just still doesn't give me. I thought that might have given me some pictures of some stuff I want to know. Like, what's that? That's, how drain valves, how they work, what all the bits in it. There's several of them in this thing. It just gives you everything. It's a pretty, it's the winch on the back, all the little bits and pieces, and also it tells you what they are, and all the GM part numbers. So yeah, most of it must have been all GM. Everything they used was GM. obviously, or it gives you the part numbers that they used if it wasn't GM made, I guess, you know what I mean? But it would have been, because these were probably made by GM. I don't know. I don't know the exact details of all that sort of thing. I haven't studied it that hard, if you know what I mean. But like, I've done a wee bit of research. I've pretty much briefed through it, you know, like some of the research. Like, it gives you, like, what's that? Nice forward bilge pump. You know, just all sorts of things in here. Everything to do with this thing, like the lights, the whole lot. It goes through and tells you how to pull it apart and whatever. You know, all the bits. What's this? It's the air manifold and valves and bits and pieces for whatever. You know, it just gives you everything, which is really freaking handy. But it doesn't go into some of those other weirder details. That's not so much mechanical, if you know what I mean. There's transfer case and axle and whatever. So axle transfer. All the gauges. It gives you a lot of that sort of stuff, but it just doesn't give me what I want to see, unfortunately. Fuel pump. You want to fix a fuel pump on one of these old girls? There you go. Yeah, it just doesn't quite give me what I want, which is unfortunate, but I'll have definitely a read of it later on. So I've got all these pieces here. I've got all the stuff that I just brought back with me. I feel like I'm getting a head cold, which sucks. Haven't been back in here for a couple of days. So I think what I'll do, we'll have a quick wee look around the other side, just make sure it's not too wet around there, because it has been pissing out with rain. But now I might climb underneath and we'll get all the bottom of that hole cleaned up, because I've got my strip of steel down there too for the floor. Not sure if I showed you that the other day or not. And we'll start, I guess we'll get in there and we'll work out if there's any other, I guess probably easy to repair, you know, some cross rib stuff when we've got all that floor out, because it is a wee bit doggy down on the bottom, some of the bottoms of it, where it joins back onto the floor. Some of that is a little bit doggy. But yeah, we'll get down there and have a wee nosy, and we'll go from there, and we'll start cleaning that all up, I guess, and work out what we need to put all this shit back in. Yep, this is the bit that sucks about the shed. For some reason, just here, where these doors and shit are, and because the roof's not very well sealed there, it just falls up full of fucking water down here, which is an absolute pain in the ass. I don't want to be lying down there that fucking doing that shit. So this is where it would be good down at my shed, because in the dry, you know, you can walk around the back of it, walk around the front of it, and not have to worry about that sort of shit. You know, and I could, you know, somehow get it up a little bit higher off the ground too. Like, it doesn't have to be much, you know, another half a foot would make a difference. Anyway, so we might look on the inside and see if we can maybe start welding some of those pieces on the inside, and maybe tomorrow or something like that might have dried up in here. Not likely. As long as I don't get too much frickin' rain, it might be right. Big. That's a little loader, isn't it? Big enough. It's not too huge, but big enough. Right, I might have to see if I can find something that I can put along here to get a bit of a line from there to there. Like, I can see where it was, but I'm just not 100% sure whether it was dead level through there, if you know what I mean. We might have to work that out. Before I go too far. See if I can clean up these pieces. Weld them back in. You can see where it was, but once you get it cleaned up, it's a bit awkward to tell. And it looks like, I don't know. Yeah, we'll have to work something out so I can make sure I get them level. Otherwise, it's going to be Well, I thought about maybe holding it back to here, and I was, yeah, fucking didn't think about those two bloody ribs there, or braces, because it's going to hold me out. I just want to be, if I can get it along those edges, it would be right. That'll give me a, you know, reasonable idea. We can put a straight edge down to it or something like that, just make sure it's level at each end, and we get a decent follow through. But that's not going to help me. Powerhouse. Actually, just thinking about it, if I clear the deck here a little bit, I should be able to run something across these two middle pieces, and they should be level with the other side. And the only thing I might be able to get is right up the front, but we've already got the little tabs in there anyway. Which shouldn't be too much problem, as long as I can get, if I can get to one end, at least I can sort of stand back a little bit and look at it. It's just be these first couple that are sort of in the open that I really need. This one here won't be too bad, but we can still get a reference across it. And I should have something. I don't know if these will be too long to fit in between, but we'll find something here that I might be able to just slip across and see. Yeah, that'll work. That'll work. I was thinking maybe a laser level and setting it up in the middle to get that piece, but I think we'll get simpler than that. It's a lot of screwing around. I'll see if I can find something that's wide enough to go in there, and we'll work that out. Like I can sit something on it or whatever so it doesn't move, and we can just mark a few spots with some marker once we get sort of sorted. I think that'll work. Right, one of my length is too long to fit in here, but if I cut the section out for one of these, I think it should just make it short enough that I can lay it across here and get it to touch these two pieces, and then that'll give me a pinpoint. Like, I can see roughly where it's meant to be, but I just like to get it, you know what I mean? If I can run it all the way through there and just double check that we are getting the levels right, and I can mark the, I guess it would be the bottom, no, the top, yeah, the top edge, where it's sitting with the flat and then down. If I can get that top edge and mark that in 2 or 3 spots, then I know it is correct. I can clean this up and I can spray a little bit of weld through on there before we weld it on, and then I can just give it a wee grind down to about that mark, so I can get a decent burn, but like it's not going to rust in behind. It'll work. Right. Right, I've got a little bit of primer on there. While that's drying, I might see if I can go find an air line to poke through the hole in the wall. So I've got some air, because I bought my couple of those small Rolex discs and whatever, so I can get in here and I can clean this stuff up, blow a bit of weld through on there before I prime them and whatever. I just don't fancy using a big fucking grinder all the time. Yeah, it's too savage for doing that sort of shit. And I can also, once I've marked where I want that level, I can grind a bit of the weld through away from top to bottom, so I can get a good weld along the, you know, the top and bottom edge of this, and then obviously we'll weld it along here and along here as well, the best we can. You know, we're only going to stitch weld, we're not going to weld it along, but we'll have 3 or 4 good stitch welds across there and join the ends and whatever, and dress it up and clean it up. So I'll see if I can go find an air line, because I've been wanting one in here for a while. I'll see what I've got next door, and hopefully my air fittings are right. Right, finally, I think I'm kind of ready, but not. So I finally got the welder set up, I've got a frickin' air line set so I can use my bar grinder. They have to figure out how to do these some markings here. Yeah.
so I've got those two sections in. I've got a huge fucking water in the airline issue that I don't seem to be able to get rid of. I've drained the tank. It seems to be dry down the other end of the shed, but there is a big bend in one of the, there's a freaking airline that's like, I don't know, it must be 4 inches in diameter. Big steel pipe that runs across the top of the shed. And it's got a bit of a hoop in it, and I wonder if it's trapping water in there, and you'll never get it out. Well, you may do, but it'd be bloody awkward. So yeah, and it's unfortunate, so it runs all the lines over to this side of the shop. So yeah, I don't know whether I'm going to get rid of the water out of the airlines or not, because I don't want to destroy my fucking die grinder either, for the sake of doing this, but it's just a lot more controllable if you want to clean up something and spray a bit of shit on than trying to crank up a big angle grinder, if you know what I mean. So yeah, I'll have to work on that. We might have to bring a fucking an air compressor down here or something, and just have like one that I can plug in somewhere. I don't know where, but you know what I mean. So I'm just running my own air, and I'm not having to worry about water, because it is just running through like a freaking hose. Anyway, so yeah, it's fucking taking me forever to try and get this sorted, just to try and get myself set up and work out that water and the airline problem that I couldn't work out and all that sort of shit. But anyway, we'll go have some lunch and then we'll see you after lunch. Well, since we've basically done these two down here, I might as well do those two over there before I come back up to the top, I guess. It's not terribly difficult to do those. Got everything sitting here, basically. Alrighty, so I got that one in, I've cut one for here, just marked on here where I need to trim some of this old shit away. I'll just cut it down like that and see if I can, I don't know whether I can grind some of this off. So like this is still sitting up, so this will just rest on it a little bit. And we'll try and get it reasonably level, hopefully through here. We'll just play with it a little bit until it looks half decent, so it sort of kind of all lines up. Oh, there's a slightly longer piece, so I'll just see if it rests across those. Yeah, that's a little high. It's a bit of a pain. I don't know why. we might just leave it slightly higher than this. It would be better to be slightly higher than this. And just rest on top of that. I don't know why. But you can see it's been attached there before, so we'll just blade it to that corner. It'll just be slightly higher, and then we'll work it back to obviously that other beam. We'll just make it work across there. I've got another big length that I might be able to sit across there and just get a rough line. So sort of get these. So I'll get this one done, and then we might jump back over and do that one as well. You see, it's got a different piece in it. It's like, who knows? Anyway, we'll do that, and then we'll check the time. Alrighty, so welcome back. I got a bit of a freaking head cold at it for the last few days. Friday was a public holiday. I almost came down here, but I was like, nah. And I was half tempted to come back here Saturday morning, just get some few more hours in, but I was just, by that stage, that's when I started. Friday was when I started getting the head cold, and Saturday morning I just didn't feel very good. I was like, oh, I'm just better off to stay at home and try and relax and see if I can get past it. You know, it's not too bad. It's mainly just in the head. I don't actually feel that bad in my head. It's just I'm all blocked up and a bit chesty and coffee, and every now and again my nose will start running and I start sneezing and blowing chunks out everywhere. Yeah, it's a bit rough, but it's all good. So anyway, we'll flip the camera, hold on. So yeah, we got some of these new side bits in here. I want to do some more of that. But I think while it's dry down on the ground, we'll have a clean up down there, and then we'll trim some rest of that shit off. We'll get down there, we'll see if we can cut some of that shit off. Get that cleaned up so we can start doing our test fit for our floor panels. I can come back to this later if we happen to get some rain or whatever, or if it gets too wet down here. So I think that's what we'll do. We'll get down here. We'll start cleaning this up so we can get it prepped to fit all these pieces back on. I think that's what we'll do. So I think I might just have a count up and just see what I've got in the way of cutting discs and grinding discs in here before I jump down there, and we'll go from there. I don't know what I'm going to do about this air compressor and this water problem. We'll cross that bridge. I actually drained it the other day, but it's trapped in the line somewhere on this side of the building, and there's a couple of bends in the, like see that blue line that comes through there, that's air line into here. I don't know, I haven't found a fitting actually in here that I can plug close into, but there's a hose reel that's on the far end of this workshop, that direction, or that's the door there, so this goes through that big sliding door that you can see there. It's part of it, and it goes that way. Where that is, it's the end of the workshop, and it runs across, and actually the compressor's on that end, and it's got a big, I don't know, whatever it is, big 1.5 or 2 inch pipe comes up, but there's like a 4-inch pipe that runs right the length of the building, with droppers off it, like pipes like that big. And there's a big bend in it before it sort of gets over to this other side of it. And this sort of first section, it's got a big lazy bend in it. Whether it's got hooked up on something at some point or what, I don't know, at some point. And I'm guessing there's a whole heap of moisture in it on that side, back this way, but it's not going that end. It's sort of like all the moisture's laying in that big, and that's why I'm getting it all this side. It's a pain in the arse. And this pipe here actually runs off that side. It comes back around the side of this building instead of coming across. So yeah, I don't know what I'm doing about the water and the airline problem, because that's just going to destroy my die grinder, which is not ideal. Hopefully I don't have to use it too much, but I was going to use it in the floor here with some heap of those Rolex discs. I've got some big 3-inch ones coming again after not very good ones the other day. I think they would have been alright, but you know, they just weren't what I wanted them for. That big heavy backing just didn't make them very usable. You'd have to trim the edge off or whatever all the time, and when you're in a confinement like this, you don't want to be hopping in and out and frickin' cutting them back or whatever, you know, to try and nick them back on the edge to try and get a clean edge. You just, as they wear away, they're alright, you know. You just keep using them, but
Anyway, I think we'll get down there, we'll have a quick sweep. I've got a broom over there, we'll drag a bit of shit out. We'll get some lights down there. I think there's actually a plug-in light there, so I'll throw down there. I'll see if it works. Throw it down there so we've got some light underneath, and instead of using these rechargeable things, they're good, but they're just, after, you know, a couple of hours of use, they die on you. So it might take more than a couple of hours to clean this shit up, get all that shit off and get all those beers clean, and then we can slip a new piece of steel in underneath, because we'll have to trim the ends of the old things off as well, further up. And we can put that piece up somehow. We'll see. I'm not sure how we're going to do that yet. I might go grab some Tech screws from somewhere and just, you know, put 2 or 3, you know, well, probably about 4 or 5 along each edge, or it might even be more than that. Just Tech screw it up through what we've got, and then I can work out where I can trim and tack and trim and tack and trim and tack until I get it all in. But, you know, whether we get all that done today or not, or whether we come back into here, we'll see. It's not looking too good down there. The more I dig into these pieces, getting the pieces cleaned up underneath them, I can see through both of these back, you know, through the sides. They're just absolutely just full of stuff, and it's just, you know, like, how far do you go? It's a bit of a worry, really. Like, it's probably quite strong how it is, but like, obviously if you went to use it or put it in the water or whatever, like, you know, if I cut that section out and replace it, and cut that section out and replace it, and cut that section out, and probably that one as well, and try and weld them back in, you know, is that piece up there going to be rotten and up to the edge? And then what's it like up the sides as well? And then, you know, when you go across, you know, how much more is actually rotten like that? Because it's just not that piece, if you know what I mean. Like, say, what do you just take the whole bottom out of the boat, that whole section, and just replace the whole lot? It's a bit of a worry. Like, every time you dig, you're in deeper. Yeah, I might go see if the owner's here yet. I'm just not 100% sure. I've just been trimming that one off. I just had to come up here to, just been trying to find a pen for this morning, just to write some shit down. But yeah, it's not looking too good down there. Right, in closer inspection, that one actually looks fairly solid. That one's shot. That one's shot. And I think that one there is probably shot too. I'm not 100% sure on that one. I'm just wondering if I should maybe, I know, get a bit of steel and just run it, just scab it on here and then scab it onto the bottom of this before I cut this out. And then go get some bits made, or at least brace one of them. I'd hate to see it go. I don't think it would, but it may. Or do I cut one out, go get a piece made, or 3 of them made, and then weld one and cut one out? We'll try it, eh? We'll cut one out and we'll see. Alright. So, we cut this section out. I'm going to go get 2 made, I think. I think that one might be okay. We'll get another inch or 2 on each end, just so I can trim it to fit, obviously. We can cut that one out. I'll leave that one, but I'll take this along, see if I can get them to bend it up with that kink in it, hopefully. If not, we'll just have to pie cut it and weld it and then join it back together. But yeah, so we need at least a couple sections in there. You know, you probably could have got away with just replacing a piece of that, but I wasn't sure. It actually looks decent thickness, but you can see the bottom where it's getting thin. But you can see the difference in the thickness, you know, from down here in the sidewalls, and then you get down into here, and it's just thin. It really is just thin. Like they're just packed full of stuff. So I'll go take that along the road, and I'll see if my other discs are turned up, and yeah, we'll get them to make a couple of pieces so we can put them on the back in there, and then I'll carry on cleaning this stuff up, and we'll try and get that free, and we'll get the other pieces off from underneath there. Well, they're, you know, like it might be a day or so before they make this, but hopefully they can make it quickish. And yeah, I can slip that in afterwards anyway if I have to, once I get the floor repaired. Worst comes to worst, but yeah, she's really, because I was actually having a poke. Is it down? Yeah, down here I think it is. There's some holes in here as well, down there further. But this has actually had holes drilled in it, so I don't know. But oh yeah, she's pretty. It almost like needs, you know, flushed out. But what do? You know, you gotta be finding stuff like that forever. You know, in some places wouldn't be too bad. It's just like, you know, just we'll repair what we can. We'll replace these two sections because that one's stuffed as well. And we'll see if we can. That one actually looks okay, and I think I've hit that one with a hammer, and it sounds all right. You know, it's not trying to break through. Whereas these ones here, you could hear it was thin. So we might better just save those and spray some shit up in there and at least slow it down. You know, for like it's not as that's ever going to be doing anything major. So we'll go get a couple pieces made. Alrighty, so I've got these pieces off, which are here, because I'm going to replace those whole rails obviously. So I'm just cleaning up that and just getting rid of any bits and pieces left over from those pieces underneath. This one here I'm probably just going to cut through anyway, back up to there because it's rotten like the other one. So I'm just going to clear the back one off now. We'll start clearing that off once we get these couple other little pieces off the side. And we'll do a little bit of trimming here on that one that I cut out before. Sorry, I'll just hold the phone a bit square. It's a bit awkward on lying down here. Yeah, then we'll start trimming away the back stuff and we'll see how good that one is. I've got them to make 2 of these at the meantime, but if I start digging into that and start clearing some shit away and I find if it's too rotten, I'll just ring them up and go make 3. Righto, quick video. Got these. Now, I wasn't sure whose brand these was. Originally I thought Euromac. Obviously they have their own cutting discs, but these are a different brand, but it's obviously the brand that they use. And it's this brand. So this is what they come in. These are 40 grit, you know, 3-inch. I don't know if you can see that part number on there or not. But yeah, this is them. So yeah, if you're looking for them, that's what they are. The ones that I've been using, that I've had good success with. So yeah, I didn't realise that was the name of the brand that they particularly were. I thought they made all their own gear. I know they've got their own cutting disc with their own Mark, Mac, whatever the label is on them. But yeah, that's what these are. So I got these. So that's awesome. Anyway, we'll go have some lunch and I'll carry cutting shit off the bottom and see if I can work out how I'm going to get that bit held up. Right, as you can see, I got some of that cut away. I'm actually going to have to replace part of this section here too. It's pretty thin in places. We'll figure that out once we've got this piece replaced. We'll have to come back in here and cut a slither off the bottom of this or something. I'm not sure how much I'm going to have to replace, but I know it's thin there in a few places and it's been patched. Sort of had a couple of little patches put in before at some point. Yeah, where am I at to? So yeah, I'm going to cut that out possibly shortly. I haven't decided yet, but I've cut through from underneath, so I can just cut that out if I need to. Yeah. So I'm just going to cut the piece from underneath. I'm just going to cut along that edge where the welds are, see if I can, so I can get that broken free. And then I'll probably drop back underneath and see if I can pick some of that off. I just thought I'd come up here and have a better look, see if I can slice some of it away from the edge a bit better. Oh, sorry. So that's my plan now. Let's see if I can get this piece cleaned up, and then if I can get it reasonably cleaned up, I'm not worried if I can get that out of the road, but we might cut it out of the road shortly. I don't think it's going to move. I think if I'd cut both of these out, we might start having issues, but I think it's strong enough. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. I did think about bracing it, but that didn't move at all. So, and I don't think, as long as I don't cut that one, and that one will be good until we get one of these back in. If we have to chop this out, that one looks pretty solid, and once we get this one cleaned up, I'll better tell whether that's solid enough to keep or replace or repair or whatever. But yeah, then I'd like to about to, I might go get a couple of axle stands. I might have to, yeah, I might shoot. Actually, I got a couple at home. There's a couple of small ones. I'm not sure if they're going to go up high enough. I'll do a quick measure down to the ground, because the axle stands might be just enough to help hold it up, the panel steel, and then I can lay it in there and we can work out a few things and just see what I've got to do to make it fit. Because I might have to kink it up about here somewhere. Just put a gentle kink in it. We'll cross that bridge later. But yeah, we're just trying to get everything cleaned up. But yeah, if I can get that shit off there and cut that out and just give everything a last clean up, or a reasonable last clean up, then we can get that piece of panel steel, lay it in here and put a couple of axle stands underneath it, just so I can have a bit of figure out. And then we might have to get a few tick screws or whatever, because I think I'll have a quick measure wherever my tape measure is, over there, and just double check this width, and double check the width of that other piece. I know I got it wider, but how much wider I can't remember now. A bit. I think I got about an extra about an extra inch or so, so we should have a bit of overlap, so we should at least bang a couple of tick screws through it if I've got a few that are sharp, if you know what I mean. And then we can probably come through and just work out where we need to trim, and we'll see if there's any other crap we want to get rid of along the edges once we figure out how much we're cutting off. And we can just go through and trim and work out which bit we're taking off what. Righty, so this is the pieces off the bottom of this back one. So I'd cut it through here, and I went to had it half sort of bent down, and I just went to pull it around to see if I could maybe cut the back bit off. Just fell off, both bits basically. It's just rotted across the back of this channel. For how far, I do not know. It's not terribly good, and you can see it's just packed full of whatever that is, mud and rust. That's what all these are like. I've dug it most out of most of these, just to try and, you know, clear it out a bit, but it's just packed. You can see it all on the floor here. That's just from taking this bits out that I've done today. So yeah, I better send some photos through the owner, just show him what's going on. But even up in here, you can see up in there further. I have to rebuild this whole corner, I reckon. I'm probably going to have to, because I'm going to have to do some patches in the back of here, and I might have to cut it up a bit further so I can get into here and try and weld that in. I might have to cut a whole hunk out of the back of this ute. And you can see all the little funny patches that are like here. Can I zoom out? No, I can't. But yeah, like you can see there's one of the funny patches that have been here that has just been sort of patched up at some stage. But Yeah, well, hoping we're just going to put a piece through here and whatever, and but she's all fucked. So yeah, I'm going to have to try and go through and, I don't know, graft this in further in, so I better go see these other guys how to make me the other two pieces and get them to make me a nice long bit. I don't know how long. I'll go up the top and have a measure, and I'm probably going to have to, like I said, cut the back out of here so I can get into here, to cut that out to replace it. So yeah, this thing's just going to, I don't know, it's going to turn into a big job to make it. So it's, if he wants it to float, well, he might be better off just to not want it to float, I think. Do you see that? Holes in the floor. But anyway, so we've cut that bit out. Something like that. I'm going to have to cut that old piece out. It's rotten right on there. That's actually concrete or something in there. I've just realised. I've poured concrete in there, probably to patch a hole way back in the day. Apparently it was a common trick in a boat, like some of the big old boats, like if they got a leak, they just poured concrete in there. As long as it wasn't leaking bad, if you know what I mean. Like if they're way out, they must have just mixed up concrete and poured it in the thing and it sealed it up, you know, or slowed it down. So they could get back to port, you know, and get it up on a slipway and fix it. You know, I'm talking big stuff, you know. Didn't matter if they punched a hole in it. Apparently that's what they did, they filled them full of concrete. So, yeah, so I'm going to have to try and get the worst of that out. So God knows what's underneath there. Yeah, and we got holes down there. I might just try and see if I can fucking weld that up. Because we're just getting more and more and more and more and more. It's like, next thing I've got the whole floor up, you know, and replacing it with all the bearers. And I think these vertical ones probably won't be too bad, but fucking who knows, you know. If they're so full, you know, what's the rest of it like? I'm just going to get out and see if I've got a longer screwdriver here so I can poke up in there and freaking clean the worst of the shit out. I think I might be alright from there back. I think they're all solid because they've sort of been on that angle. I think the worst of it's run down into the bottom parts. Yeah, and that front one seems to be okay. You know, it's about as good as it's going to get without replacing it. So yeah, I guess what it is what it is. Yeah, what can you do? You just gotta fix it. You know, if it's not too bad, or it was just one little hole or something like that, you know, it was still fairly solid, well, I'll probably just leave it alone. But yeah, God, that one's just, that's absolutely rotten. I just cut it away and I just broke it off. It wasn't even attached down the bottom. Once I got all the mud and shit out of it, I just cut the front side off it, and there all the shit just fell out, and then yeah, I just cut the back away. So I'll go find a longer screwdriver and we'll clean that up, and then yeah, I'll see if I can get a bit more of this one out. Yep, concrete. Just trying to chip some of it out if I can. We'll dig in here a bit further. She's pretty crunchy. I need to get out what I can, I suppose, to repair that. I don't know how I'm going to get it out. Dynamite, maybe. Yeah, she wasn't holding on by much. I didn't even have to try and cut it. It just, it slipped through. It wasn't even attached in the back. It's only attached in that little piece of the corner at the front. Break it off. Yeah, she's absolutely trashed. Absolutely trash. What's the floor going to be like? I'm going to have to replace a big section of that, I bet you. She just keeps giving. That's the worst thing. You just start, I don't know. You keep cutting until you stop. Finding rust, but yeah, I don't know. We'll just keep digging out. Hopefully I can get some of this cleared and at least might find some decent metal underneath, but with the concrete in there, who fucking knows what we're going to find now. Anyway, we'll keep digging for a while longer and then I'll go home and then we'll dig some more tomorrow. Right, morning troops. Still don't feel very good. I'm alright, but just heady, whatever. Trying to get rid of all this freaking phlegm and shit out of my body. But anyway, so we chopped the whole heap of metal out of this thing yesterday, more than I ever thought I was going to have to. And there's more to come out. But I'm going to try and get some of this concrete out of the road. And also I didn't really want to grab my air gun from work, because I didn't want to, if I'm down at work, then means I'll start dragging stuff back with me. But I've bought it here anyway, so I can blow out some of this shit from inside the hull, body, what do you want to fucking call it. And then I'll try and get into this corner, but I actually realised I don't have any fucking cold chisels or anything anymore. I must have sold them at some point, moving backwards and forwards. I haven't had to use them really. I've got wood chisels and stuff like that, but yeah, I don't have any cold chisels. And I think at one point I actually used to have a pneumatic like chisel way back, I think. I can't remember, I think I did. So like that's some of the stuff I really need to get again. It's just sometimes you just don't think about it until you get in weird situations like this where you need one. So yeah, we'll plug away at this, see if we can break some more cement out of here, and try and get this corner cleaned up, and at least I can got some air here now. I can, with the air gun, I can just keep blowing some of the shit away. I do have a half brush here somewhere, but that's the worst thing. Being down here, you're constantly climbing in there to look for things. So unless you've got it handy, it's a pain in the ass. So yeah, we'll just use the air and we'll just blow a bit of the shit away. We'll flick you around. So yeah, we'll just blow the shit down onto the ground. It's not going to hurt anymore, what it is. So yeah, and then we can just keep chipping at the shit and see if we can get all this crap out and see if this bit of flooring's any good under here, so we can attach shit back to it. And then at some point we'll have to cut a chunk out of here, and obviously we're going to make a piece to weld onto here, or we might unbolt this and just make a whole new piece and then weld it into these, so it's all one bit. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. It's probably just as easy to weld it onto the bottom like that is, basically. So yeah, but we've got a bit of rebuilding to do. This is full of shit too, so I'll probably end up cutting these like piece being scabbed into here and just all sorts of weird shit going on. That if we can tidy it up and make it a little bit better, I don't want to be freaking cutting everything out of this thing, but at least we're going to try and do something with this, because this was just rotten. So it kind of is what it is. Like I barely had to cut through it, so anyway, we'll have a wee blowout and we'll see where we're at and see if we can at least. I bought a couple of extra hammers and a big old screwdriver, one that's got a bit of length on it, so I can jam it into there with a heavy club hammer, so we can break some of this concrete out and just keep sort of blowing it out of the road as I'm going. And now that you got the crap out of the road, you can see there's just all that concrete in there. So I have to try and get rid of, obviously some of the metal work, and the concrete isn't going. But yeah, now we've got that blown out and cleaned up, in this part anyway. we can attempt to, I don't know, do something with it anyway. Well, we're slowly winning but losing. I got that screwdriver jammed in there. Broke the end off this one, so I ground another point on it, and I'm just using it to punch down into here with a hammer. It's one of the ones that's got the steel shaft that goes all the way through, so you can hammer on the end of it. It wasn't obviously one of my best screwdrivers, so I just used it as a chisel. But yeah, the rest of it's down there. Yeah, I don't know how much broke off in there, but a bit. Like it used to be, I'm guessing about 3 inches longer. I tried to pry up on this and then like jam the other screwdriver in there, but yeah, I ended up breaking it off, so I'm just hammering down here to break it off the stuff. It didn't actually go too bad going that way to break it away from obviously where we need to do repairs. But it'd be nice if we can get the majority of this out. It's the only place it's in here, I think. So if we can get it out and do some repairs to make it back just to steel instead of concrete, you know, it would be nice. But yeah, we'll just keep plugging away. Like an air chisel would have been quite good, but I don't have one at the moment. I think I used to, but I think I must have sold it at some point with fucking moving countries. Right, I did get me in a screwdriver out that was a bit more than what I thought was in there. I don't know, whatever that is. It might be about close to 5 inches. It was jammed down there. But I'm actually going to try and weld it back on because I'm struggling to get get a decent hit on the end of that to break the shirt away. So I'm hoping if I just weld it back together, it may break again, but I don't know. But I'll just better get it up higher so I can get a decent smack on the top of it to drive it down through what's left of that concrete in there. I've got another screwdriver jammed in underneath it, trying to, you know, to pull it up. So, you know, when the pressure goes down on top of it, that might help break it away. I don't know. It's just, but yeah, I'm struggling because I broke that off. It's kind of too low, so I'm just going to weld it back on. But if it breaks, it breaks. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Yeah, fixed. That'll do. If it breaks, it breaks. I've got another one. I just don't have another one here that's got the steel end in it. Oh, we'll test it after lunch.
Right. So that's why the concrete was on the outside. So we'll have to have a good clean up down in there. Get rid of all the scaly shit. And see what else we may have to repair on the bottom. So we've got a couple of holes down here. I've got a wee bit of metal to get off where that piece goes through. So we'll clean that up and see if we can get in there and wire wheel it and grind it or whatever, just to clean the surfaces up, just getting this decent assessment. I got my hydraulics discs, and I think the water through that line's not too bad now. Actually, I might go check that compressor again and just drain it again. I'm slowly getting less water in the system. I must be dragging it through from the stuff that was, because I don't think the compressor been drained here for a long time. Which doesn't surprise me sometimes in these sort of workshops. You know, there's only a couple of guys working in here and they're just repairing the company vehicles, and yeah, probably not many people are using the year, so yeah, it might get drained fucking once or twice in, you know, a year if you're fucking lucky sometimes in some of these places. But it's a really old compressor, so it's a shame somebody hasn't put an auto drain on it just to mono our compressor. When in one of the workshops I used to work in, yeah, with the compressor in one of the big tyre shop that I worked in Australia, had all the auto drain. It would just bleed off water at the bottom, or condensation out the bottom every, I don't know, whatever it was, in every hour or so. It would just it had two-stage set start up as well, and it had an air dryer and all those sorts of bits. And all the droppers that went down the, it had all big piping around the walls. But then the droppers that dropped to where you could plug a hose in, or where the machines were plugged into, they actually had taps on the bottoms of them too, so you could actually drain the water out of it down below where the air connection was. So you'd have the air connection here, but there'd be a foot and a half of pipe down below with a ball valve, so you could go around all them. And we don't do it very often, but maybe every once a month we'd actually drain the whole system. There was a big massive reserve tank in the workshop. I don't know how big that was. Well, at least me tall, if not taller. No, it'd be taller than me. It would be 7 or 8 foot tall, I would think, and probably 3 feet round. It was in one corner of the workshop. The main tank with the pump on it was just about the same size, or about the same size. And it had a big air dry system, and all the main line around the walls for the bulk of the workshop was, it would be 2-inch ID, and then all the droppers were, I think, probably inch ID, inside diameter. Yeah, it was at least that round. The main, it was all big hard plastic. It was all put in when I actually started. When I helped them move into the building at one point, yeah, and we put all these big lines in, and then all the droppers were, I think, at least inch inside. They might have been like inch and a half on the outside, sort of type thing, 1/4 inch wall, or whatever the metric equivalent is. Yeah, they put balls on all the bottoms of the, air drops to wherever you needed it. Yeah, and then they obviously had all the gear and hoses and whatever plugged into it from there. Yeah, but it was a good system. But yeah, you get a lot of these old workshops, and people forget about them, Especially if you're using a lot of air tools. If you're not using air tools much, you're just using an air gun to blow a bit of fucking, blow a bit of dirt around or whatever when you're cleaning up stuff or whatever, You might be working on something, just use the air to, you know what I mean, just dusting shit off and whatever, or you're not worried about it. Or you might be using it to pump a bit of oil, into systems, like over hydraulic sort of type systems for pumping oil into the engines or whatever. You're probably not looking at it very often, if you know what I mean. Or you're not seeing the water in the system because you're not using it all the time. But, anyway, we've got that cleaned up, so we better clean all this shit up. So I might better use my die grinder and one of those new discs, and we'll have a clean up down there. Yeah, and we'll carry on from there. It'd be nice to have those other bits, but we might have to do some patches, and I might have a clean up down below and get rid of all that shit, have a sweep up and get rid of a lot of that shit. So I'm going to find a bucket somewhere or something that I can put all that concrete and shit in. That I can take over one of the skips. And and then we can suss out, because that's in and around that diff, so it's going to be a bitch to fucking fix. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. Yeah, that hole down there, it might be, it'll be okay, but just if we're going to do any extensive work, we may have to drop that diff out of the road. Oh, sorry, we might have to drop that diff out of the road at some point if need be, or if they have the axles out rebuilding them, might better get in there a bit easier, because it's obviously right in where that diff head is. But yeah, we'll cross that bridge later. If it's awkward, I might better get in there and repair it, but it's just not that easy to weld. It'd be easier to weld a patch in from the back, you know what I mean? Cut a piece out and slip it in. Might better take it and weld it in from the back or whatever. It would be easier if the diff was out of the road, but yeah, like less constraints. But yeah, we'll cross that bridge later. We'll have a clean up and we'll go from there.